Well, Mr. Todd McFarlane, I'm glad we got to catch up again. I love coming to these conventions just to see you. We talked a little bit last time about entrepreneurship, which people loved a lot of things you have to say about that. But, we're at New York Comic Con. So
Yep.
first off, I want to know, what does Todd McFarlane nerd out
um, yeah, it's usually the stuff I have at home, not necessarily out here. When I was a kid, I used to collect certain baseball cards. Um, Probably right now, the thing I probably buy the most are board games, right? Tabletop board games. I'm not a video gamer, and I just got to notice that by the time I get home from New York Comic Con, I'll have a new game waiting for me. So and that's been, I think I pre-ordered it 3.5 years ago.
on?
So it's been a long time coming.
So do you like board games because it brings the family around and it's really fun to come?
No, I play board games that nobody in my family wants to play. The majority of them are historical, based on historical warfare. But to me, they're like puzzle. To me, the games I play are like playing chess, right? Which is why the family doesn't like playing it, because my wife goes, "I want to play games where I'm smiling," and I consider chess to be a game, but I've never seen anybody really smile while they're playing it, because it's a puzzle, and you're trying to see if you can outmaneuver the other person. They move, you move, and can you figure out how to do the puzzle? And some of the board games I play, there's anywhere between 2 to 6 players, and you're trying to literally outmaneuver all of them. But smiling and laughing and joking as part of the game isn't part of it. I get pretty intense. To me, it's like playing a sport, right? Once the game comes, I put on my game face and I go, we're going to be competitors, and then we'll have fun at the end of the game. Right.
I love it. My brother-in-law loves board games, so he always brings something new. There's a lot of fun stuff out
Oh
there.
yeah, no, it's a ton of fun stuff. But I leave that. I leave that
there's
for
a lot of
I leave that for my
competition,
family.
too.
I was just going, no, can I be smarter than you? That's my competition. Can I be smarter than you in this game? Right. So.
No, that's great. Leading up to New York Comic Con, you've been, announcing a lot of great stuff coming our way. Tons of great products keep coming our way, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with everything you're giving us. But, what are you most excited about showcasing here at New York Comic Con?
New York is sort of the place we can roll out two things. I've got the toy company, and then we've got the comic book company, right? So we have the ongoing line of toys, led by our DC Multiverse, and we've got a bunch that we've got a toy panel tomorrow, no, on Saturday, I believe, that we're going to be showing some never before seen items, right? They get to get a first look, which is why people come to the panels, right? Want to see something for anybody else. And then the same thing on the toy front, or on the comic book front. We're going to be showing artwork and properties and titles that we haven't sort of shown before. Maybe we've sort of hinted at it. And then just talk about some of the core product that we already have that's ongoing, that's our evergreen items that are 365, every day. So I don't really rank them, in all honesty. I leave that up to the consumer, right? Our job is to put out items that we hope are of, high quality at a fair price. And then we let people know when it's coming out, and we let them decide whether that's something that is good for their life or is interesting for them, right? I never assume that because I make it that somebody should naturally want to consume it, other than my wife. So.
What are some of the hints that you've been dropping about what we can expect for the panel and some other stuff coming for the rest of the year?
We've got different format on the toy front. It's more of things like different formats, brands, price points. Because sometimes you can take the same thing and reskin it, right? I mean, if you look at it, the equivalent of it on the comic book front is that you do like trade paperbacks, right? And you do then hardcovers, and then you do compendiums, and some might collect. We do literally issues that are every month that are single, 20-page stories. Then you do trade paperbacks, that's 6 issues, and then you do 12-issue packages and 24, and then even the big fat compendiums that are up to 50 issues, right? Toys are about the same. You have different scales and different prices. And then sometimes you actually take the same thing and scale it down. I don't know. Everything we do is sort of like paper and plastic products that are at a buffet. You lay it all out. You let people come by with their tray. You hopefully give them enough information they can see what there is in front of them, and then they only put on the tray what they want to consume that is enjoyable to them. Right? I've never assumed anybody's a completist of everything that we do. We just go, hey, here's 50 things. Maybe one thing might be appealing to you, maybe 5. Who knows, right? Every individual makes up their own choice. So,
Yeah, I love the variety that you offer when it comes to comics or even toys. But I want to talk about your creative process. Like, what inspired your creative process today compared to when you first started out?
there is no difference, right? Cool shit is cool shit. So, I mean, when I was 8 and I scribble on the side of my pages, I just go, man, I'm going to draw something that's super, super rad. Now, again, what I was designing and creating at that point might have been only appealing to me. And maybe people would say the same thing with some of the comic books and or toys that we do. It's like, I don't understand why you're making that, Todd. But the goal at the end of the day is just do cool stuff, right? I live that's sort of my whole sort of vernacular. Does it look cool enough? Would I have bought that myself? And then try and price it at a fair price, so that, people go, no, that's worth it. That's cool. And it's a good price. And then just give them the rest of the information. When's it coming out? And are there other items that are attached to it so we can expand on it if we want to basically create the series? So I don't think I've changed much. And I'm only as good, in all honesty, I'm only as good as the creative people around me, which is why I feel more like a coach. And my job is to go find top talent, creative people, so that if you put those people on the field that have talent, they'll win championships for it. And when you win championships, everybody looks good, right? So
it's safe to say that 8-year-old that's still around, like creative.
Oh, no, look at I think some of the top creative people I've ever met. I'll give you a couple names: James Cameron and Steven Spielberg. I've met both of them on numerous occasions. I think their genius, from my perspective, is that, and I've seen it. I've been with them when sort of nobody's looking. Bam! That little 8-year-old boy comes back. They've never let go of their inner child, which I think is important, especially when you're doing creative stuff and you're doing big stuff. And it's interesting. Sometimes I get adults in executive roles with people that we deal with, and they're going, I don't understand, like, why you're doing that. And it's like, what? Dude, you were 10 once. Remember when you were 10? Just try and channel that, and now ask me that question when you're looking at that. Because it's cool. Like you're thinking about branding, and did we have the other products tied to it? And there's this no, at some point there's just a simple eye test. How do you think I survived for 20 years in the toy business when I didn't have any big brands? I just put out a cooler looking item at a fair price. And the consumer who knew nothing about me and or my brands or anything that I did, especially Spawn, they just went, that seems like a lot of bang for my buck. And it looks cool. Or I can get that junky toy over there that comes from a brand name. All right. And I've survived. It's been a good one. And if you now take quality and you take fair price and you put a big brand on top of it, shoot, that's a home run.
No, that makes sense. And you've dabbled in so many different types of industries. Is there a medium that you haven't really tapped into, just that you kind of want to explore?
Wow. Not really. I've touched them all. The only itch I have that I hopefully would like to scratch before I die is to direct a full-length feature film. I've done music videos and short stuff, but I haven't done any sort of long form. And I'm just curious whether I have the skill to be able to do it for an hour and a half.
I love that. You have a lot of bravery to tackle things that you haven't done before, and I think that really shows in everything that you've done.
It's interesting because I don't think that if I was directing, it actually would tap into anything overly new, right? I've been doing directing my whole life in comic books. That's all we do. We take the script, and then we have to turn it into pictures. In this case, I would have a camera instead of a piece of paper and drawing board. So delusionally maybe think I've been directing now for close to 40 years, because every script that I get, I have to visualize it, and that's what directors do when they're making movies.
Oh, that's very true. So that'll be exciting once you take on. Maybe you pick up some tips from Spielberg and Cameron because they're pioneering the industry for sure, just like you're pioneering your own industries as well. Was there a particular moment or decision in your career that you felt like was the turning point of your success, where you thought like, this is something I created and it's actually going really well?
No, not to the specific question. No, not really, right? Because your career is basically you in the middle of your life, and I don't think most people. Although the question is asked to many, many, many people, especially celebrities, like, why do you do what you do? And I don't think the majority of us actually analyze. We're just living our life, right? We're not asking about what we're doing. We're just running. So I think of it as like a marathon, and all of a sudden, you're at mile 12, and people are asking like, "Wow, how did you run those first 12 miles?" And for me, I'm like, I don't know. I just ran, and oh, by the way, I got 26. I got to go. I got 14 more in front of me. I'm way more excited about what's in front of me in terms of creating than what it is I did in the past. Here's what I will say though. You steer and you try to keep momentum on your career and everything else. I'm not going to deny that, but I would say that the big moments in my life were the lucky breaks that came along, or things I had no control over, but they opened the door, and then I go, oh, now that the door's open, yes, I have control over whether I'm going to go through that door or not. But the opening of those opportunities, I just happen to be at the right place at the right time. I've said before to people when I talk to people and entrepreneurs that besides having good ideas and a good work ethic and being tenacious, you need a small portion of dumb luck to follow you every now and then to rear its head, so that you just go, oh my gosh, there's an opening, let's go.
No, I totally agree with that. Sometimes it just takes someone to give you an opportunity that no one else was, and just hope for that opens.
Right, and sometimes opportunity are unfortunate opportunities. One of my big opportunities I got in comic books because somebody was drawing a book, passed away, they died. My big opportunity came at the expense of somebody's death, right? And other times the opportunities come because somebody just makes, I think, in hindsight, bad decisions. So their companies go away or they diminish, and then you move up and you're going, I didn't do anything, right? I've said before, I can be in a race with 5 people at the starting line, and they go, hey, on your marks, get set. And then I notice my shoelace is untied. And I go, hold sec, time out. I need to tie my shoe. They don't care that my shoe's untied. The starter gun goes off. Go! I tie my shoe as fast as I can. I look up, and when I look up, everybody's cheering, and then I listen, and they're cheering for me. And why are they cheering for me? Because I find out that I'm in first place. Now remember, I just finished tying my shoe, and I haven't taken a single step. There's only one way that in that race I can be in first. All my competitors took a step backwards. So you can actually move up by the decisions of other people making bad decisions. So if we're having a race moving forward and everybody wants to go backwards, I by default, I look like the best guy in the race, right? So I've had some of that happen too. So I appreciate people making ill-fated decisions because it makes us look better.
You also engage with your fans a lot, I've noticed, over the years. You're always going on live, you're always talking to them. Do you listen to their feedback, and has there been any feedback from them that's really
you're asking I think a two-pronged question here. Number one, the fans, there's not a day that goes by I do understand that I don't have a career, my family doesn't have a good life without them giving us their hard-earned money. Right? I don't take any of that for granted ever, anytime, which is why I try to price everything as fair-minded as possible, because I remember I didn't have a lot of money in my pocket, and I'm going, when I was 16, would I have wanted it? Yes. Could I afford it? No. Could I afford it at this price? And I make decisions based on that. On the comment part of it, once you get to a certain level and you get a big community of people, you run into the Abe Lincoln, you're never going to please everybody at the same time mentality. And so I maybe if I hear 80% of people saying the exact same thing, maybe there's something to be said. But I don't really need your comment because I get all the information I need in my sales data. So we make decisions, and consumers every day of our lives vote with our dollars. And so if I do something and it sells out in 5 minutes, you have to assume that you did something right, and you try to analyze what were some of the things that we did right because you want to replicate it. If you do something and it doesn't sell and you have to discount it 4 times to get rid of it, you have to assume that there was something there that didn't strike a chord, and you try to analyze that. What I can't do is create items, put it up, show the finished items, and then listen to the comments because that item is baked, it's finished. I can't undo it. So if everybody likes it or dislikes it, it's too late. That's it. That's the price. There it is. Up to you to decide whether you want to take that home and consume it. So, because otherwise you start paying attention to everybody's opinion, you can get creative paralysis. And I've seen some of my peers that happens. You just have to have the confidence, and I do. I'm delusional with my confidence. Just go, I think this is cool. I'm not saying everybody on the planet has to buy it, but here it is. And I hope we get enough people to buy it so we can do some more.
For example, like, the Batman 89 cowl. And for example, like the new Batman Beyond stuff. Like, we're hearing people, they wanted to see that type of stuff? Because I love that stuff. And it's great that you're creating it. So where does that decision come from to us?
I would say there's a little bit of buzz on the internet, but again, I employ a lot of geeks. And here's the thing. People always go, Todd, how do you come up with the ideas and all the things you do? It's not any different than anybody else, right? I have my group of geeks too. They're called employees. And we sit down and go, what would be cool to do? And we come up with this list. And I bet if you saw our list compared to a bunch of other geek lists, they're kind of probably 70% the same. So yeah, a cowl. Hey, everybody in the room, you think that'd be cool? Yes. On the internet, you think it'd be cool? Yes. If they suggested it before, yes. We're gonna all get to it. It's just that I can only put out so much stuff at a time. There has to be a little bit of a lineup that goes down. So, yeah, it's not. There's no big science. It's just what do we think people would?
I see all the excitement around it, so I just want to see where you're getting all your feedback from, because everything you give us, we're like, oh, give it to us, keep giving to us.
Yeah, well, right. But sometimes we make decisions the opposite. We give it to you, and you guys don't like it. We're going, oh, I guess that wasn't good. We shouldn't have had that so high up on our list.
I want to ask about some of your lesser known characters or stories from your work. Are there any that you want to explore further, or just wish to receive more attention?
You mean on the comic book end of things? I think there are probably a minimum of a dozen that could use more exposure. Here's the thing about any character, that your value of that brand, of that character, only grows with their exposure. And exposure then can at times lead to success of the number of people who see it, right? Attrition, which means you just keep coming again and again and again and again and again and again, gives you some value, which is that it exists, right? I don't know. I don't go and buy Dove soap, right? But I know it exists. Why? Because when I go down certain aisles, it's there, or sometimes the TV's on and I see a commercial. I don't consume it, but I know it exists. And so there's a value into that. I don't even consume it. I know the brand. That's a big thing, right? So comic book characters, any characters are the same way. One, you got to get people to actually even know they exist. And then two, more importantly, once they know it exists, you have to get them to care. You have to get them to like the character. And so, yes, if I've got a character that's only been exposed in 60 pages so far in their existence, that's nowhere near as entertaining as if I gave them 600 pages. And by 600 pages, you're going to know whether you like that character. Spawn's been around for 30 years now, right? And there's plenty of ways to find out whether and sample whether he's something that's of interest to you or not, because there's lots of entryways into it. If I take a character who hasn't been exposed as much, there might only be 2 or 3 stories, and everybody's having to make a same decision based on those same 2 or 3 stories, but they might not be the 2 or 3 best stories, because if you do 100, you might look back at your first 2 or 3 stories and go, man, those were middle of the pack stories, right? We now understand the character, and he's getting better and better and better.
You created such an amazing world with Spawn. Lastly, I just want to ask you, we couldn't talk about this last time. Anything about the movie you can update us on?
Oh man, Hollywood. Hollywood they test my patience here, right? I mean, obviously we began the process in a meaningful way in 2017. We're 7 years into it, and they keep teasing me. Then I keep seeing it sort of around the corner, and then something else comes up. So I know my wife has been saying for years, Todd, why don't you just tell them when it's done and keep your mouth closed in between, because I don't control that city.
But a little love and care is going into this.
Oh yeah, sure. Oh no, yeah. No, behind the scenes, everybody's still pushing, but we don't control sort of the final yeses and nos in that city. So.
When it does come, we're all gonna be there.
Yeah, I won't be shy. I won't be shy, as you know, about promoting it. We just want to have, just like the toys and the comics, you want to have concrete information moving forward.
No, we're excited though. That's still buzzing and going forward. And Todd, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Hopefully, we can make this a tradition, because it's really mind-opening to learn more about you and just more about the industry.
Yeah, no, I appreciate and congratulations on you and your success. Right, I talked to the bunch of retailers yesterday, saying that I think that there are 4 pillars to success of what we do. You have to have the creative community create stuff. I get it, but that in and of itself isn't enough, because that's just us in our basement doing stuff. Then you have to get people to put it on their shelf, which is the retailers, so that people can get exposed to it because they go to stores to shop. And then you have to have the biggest part of it for all of us. You have to have consumers that will take it. But the consumers won't take it off the shelf if they don't know it exists. And so this is where you are part of the 4th piece, which is people like you help get the message out, or you basically are talking about certain things in fandom that are important to you. And people then go, oh man, I didn't know that was out there. Oh man, that's cool. Oh, that person was talking about that. Oh man, and so you guys are giving them information. Hopefully it's educational as much as possible. And then they can then go, oh, I'm going to go into a store and take it off the shelf. And it was on the shelf because a creative person sort of put it there. If any one of those 4 pieces right now disappears, the other 3 fall apart. Like it literally, we're connected, right? And we need each other. I don't think any one of the 4 pieces is technically more important than the other. We need the consumers. I put them at number 1. But if there's no consumers, the rest of us go away. If there's no product, there's nothing for the consumer to have. If they don't know it, then they're not going to consume. And if there's not stores where they can get it from, so we all play a part in this organic thing, and I'm grateful for everybody that's involved, that's allowed me to spend 40 years having a career at it.
Yeah, always here to support you, Todd. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I want to do this again as much as we can. It's always a great conversation.
All right, appreciate you having me.